All right, everyone, welcome back into another fantasy golf video. Gonna be breaking down the Bermuda Championship here for you guys, giving you guys my favorite outright bets and core plays, as well as giving you guys first look build kind of lineup process there for you guys. But first, we're gonna get into a recap from last week, coming in off of an outright winner in Austin Eckroat. Let's go ahead and get into it. So as you guys will see, I am going to be doing a little bit of a new spin on an old video template that I had, which I'm excited to get into. I think it's going to make these videos more straightforward and maybe easier to follow along. I don't think they were tough to follow along prior, but I'm kind of excited for this video format. I think it's just a little bit more professional, if you will. Beginning into today's video, we're going to be talking about last week's recap. Just touch on that real quick. Getting into the tournament preview for this week. Then get into the top bets and plays there for you guys, as well as getting into the lineup process. So with that, let's go ahead and get into that recap from last week. So last week, guys, we did hit another outright winner. I have to double check. I think we're at 11 on the year. I know it's about 125 units of profit on outright winners. I have to go back and check that. It has been a long fall swing, like 3 straight tournaments of not hitting outright winner. So I have to go back and double check that. I know we're well over 100 units profit, so that's good. Obviously, Austin Eckroat was that winner for us last week. Now, I did get a little bit off of him by the time I put up the 9-to-5 write-up, which came out on Wednesday evening. Didn't like the odds as much, but still nice to hit him, you know, earlier on in the week. And overall, a pretty good week. If you guys just followed along with last week's video, pretty good stuff as a whole. Doug Gim ended up top 20 finish. Jonathan Vegas kind of made it clear he was a GPP only type play. He ended up missing the cut. Kind of risk reward there. We knew that. Lanto Griffin, you know, just as price tag, he was someone I felt was a good play to make the cut. He ended up doing that. And Rico Hoy ended up with a first round lead. And he was someone that was top 7 in the first round leader rank. So hopefully you guys were able to hit him as an outright winner as well. Let's continue on kind of looking at the recap from last week. And if we look at it, guys, from the 9-to-5 write-up, like it was pretty much spot on. Like the data tag core plays had Doug Gim in there, who ended up finishing top 20, which for a fall swing with high variance, I will take that. High exposure plays, JJ Spawn made the cut. It loved Justin Lauer, who ended up finishing much better than I would have thought. Shout out to the 9-to-5 data, much better than me last week. And then Ben Griffin as well. Ben Griffin ended up having a pretty good week. From there, guys, Austin Eckroat was there, kind of looking at the court or the player pool there. Honestly, pretty good stuff across the board. Vegas was a little bit hit or miss. Don't love that aspect of it, but you know, pretty good stuff. Grayson played well. Looking at it, guys, no missed cuts from the cash plays as well. Love to see that there. Then you look at kind of the GPP only type plays, because Zaire ended up missing the cut, as well as Jonathan Vegas. Again, those were kind of more GPP only type plays. The only unfortunate thing is that I did end up on them with the first look build. That was just kind of the lineup process that I ended up on. We knew Vegas was a hit or miss play. Pat and Kazire hit or miss play. Kind of annoying, because if they show up, this is probably a very good week. You know, a little bit annoying there, but not going to complain about being on the winner and being on a first round leader. Now, just a reminder, guys, if you guys want access to that write-up, click the join button here, enter your email, and join. You guys can subscribe to get those emails. If you guys want access to any of those awesome tools that are available on 9to5sports.com, head on over to the pricing and plans tab. You guys will get access to all the fantasy golf tools for just $10 a month. Now with that, guys, let's go ahead and get into this week. So I do want to start off with calling out the weather that we had this week. So the tournament is played in Bermuda, obviously the Bermuda Championship, the Butterfield Bermuda Championship as well. 15-mile-per-hour winds really throughout the week is what it seems like, even more than that on Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. So one thing that I'll have to do after this video is update the specialist tab where the weather is, to update it to worst weather conditions. These are going to be some of the worst weather conditions that we experience, and that's going to make a big difference. So if you guys are someone that's maybe using the 9-to-5 custom model, that'd be something I would put in there, and maybe like 20 builds. Like if you're doing 150 lineups, I would probably put in bad weather, worst weather specialists in there as a data point. Now you can do that right now, and let's just kind of see what that spits out to us here real quick. So we're going to do from the model, whatever, last 20 and last 5 for worst weather conditions. And then also we're going to include the model rank as well. Still, we want that to be kind of pulling in there. And we're still going to toss in maybe a little bit of the outright tags as well. So those are kind of the 4 kind of data points that I'm just putting in there right now as it sits. Seamus Power is a good bad weather specialist. Okay, that's nice. Joe Highsmith, he would have been a great play. He actually withdrew, guys. Mackenzie Hughes is someone you could be looking at. Andrew Putnam, Ben Griffin is someone we could look at that. Kind of some good names popping up in there. So that is a way I would go about looking at it. Honestly, Seamus Power probably gets the biggest bump there. Grayson Sig potentially. Yeah, Joe Highsmith, that's annoying. Let's see here. Any other ones popping up? Toasty, no, he's not ranking out well in the model. But that's, that's kind of how I would maybe go about approaching maybe 10% of my builds for this week. Now, that is kind of the biggest key point that we need to go in on. Now, I will call out as well, this tournament has actually been somewhat predictive in terms of course history, which I think is a good thing to start with. So let's go ahead and get into that course history for this week. And what we'll notice is that we have a decent amount of players that have had course history. Obviously, Seamus Power, a former winner here. Love to see that there from him. Maverick McNeely is someone I think people are going to be on. 21st place finish at this event 4 years ago. Ben Griffin, I think he's going to be someone I'm going to be on outright wise. 37th and 3rd place finish for him. Doug Gim does have course experience here. Obviously, he's playing some of the best golf of his career lately, and so that's something we like. Lucas Glover, 45th and 63rd. Justin Lauer, really good stuff there from him. He's someone we could be looking at outright wise as well. From there, Alex Smalley, 30th, 11th, and 12th. So good stuff there. Grayson Sig, 11th and 22nd. So we're starting to see some names pop up a decent amount that maybe we do want to be on. And so from there, let's go ahead and jump on into the top stat fits for this week. So with us seeing this course, we somewhat know what the key stats are that we should look at. But also because this tournament takes place in Bermuda, we don't always have kind of the perfect key stats to dial in on. Those typical key stats where we look at the shot link data and we know exactly which key stats to be looking at. We don't have that this week because typically the shot link data doesn't travel. And so looking at it, guys, not the best sample in terms of who are the top key stats. Now, what key stats are we looking at? Kind of the same key stats from last week, where birdie or better percentage, you do need to be scoring on this event typically. Now, I might suggest weather, putting a little bit more of an emphasis on weather. That's going to be definitely a 50-50 decision maker for me. Again, that's something I'm going to be updating here shortly. Strokes gained putting, strokes gained approach, par 5 scoring as well. All stuff we're looking at. And so kind of just looking at, guys, Wesley Bryan, he's playing with his brother. And I honestly don't know how I feel about this. Like, I was going to be on Wesley Bryan a decent amount. Does this help or hurt him? Honestly, let me know in the comment section below what your thoughts are on it. I kind of think it could be like twofold. Like, yeah, the vibes are going well for Wesley Bryan. He's playing well. It could make him elevate his game slightly more. But on the vice versa of that, maybe it's a little bit of extra pressure, or maybe he's a little bit too loose. I could see that going both ways. So I'm a little bit concerned about that. But given his recent play, he is someone that's popping up really good stat fit wise. Now, if we look at it in terms of players where we got that season long data on, Ben Griffin would be the top stat fit, and then Jonathan Vegas, kind of hit or miss again. Doug Gim, Henrik Norlander, that's how ugly this feels. Jacob Bridgman, I really think he's going to be a strong play. Sam Stevens, Rico Hoy, again, is someone we're going to be looking at. So with that, guys, let's go ahead now and jump on in to the recent form. And looking at the golfers that are going to be the best recent form heading into the field this week, it's ugly. Let's start with that. It is pretty ugly. We do have Seamus Power, who for the most part has been pretty darn good. We do see one bad finish mixed in there, but for the most part, pretty good stuff there. Multiple top 20 finishes, and I think that's really what's elevating him. But that should tell us all you need to know about this week. The fact that we have a guy that has a recent bad start in there 2 events ago, he's popping up in the best form, that should really tell us the high variance that we have for this week. Adding that weather, that's not good. But then we have Mackenzie Hughes, 8 straight made cuts, 2 top 10 finishes in a row. Really good stuff there from him. Doug Gim, 8 straight made cuts in a row. He's been playing some great golf. Ben Griffin as well. 1 missed cut mixed in there, but missed cut on the number, playing great golf. Rico Hoy, I don't really get the price on him. We'll touch on him later, but 12 straight made cuts there for him. So the nice part about this week, guys, is that I do think we want to be targeting players that have played during the fall. Now, again, the weather is kind of going to make things neutral. You got to get lucky with the weather. I do want to encourage doing like an AM PM split with your main slate builds, and also just be checking the weather for your showdown builds as well. But we have enough players where, 1, they're playing well throughout the fall swing, but 2, they're already players that are naturally popping up in the data set. So that's pretty huge. And so with that, guys, let's go ahead now and just get into the top plays for this week. And so we'll start with the high tier. And what we're going to see here, guys, is that the high tier is pretty much loaded with the top 4 plays that we would want to be on in some order. They're all popping up on the 9 to 5 rank. So I really don't see a difference in this group. Like, really, I think across the board, they're all going to be great plays. And you know what? They are all popping up as good plays as well. So we got Seamus Power, who was a former winner at this event. Very good bad weather specialist. As a whole, he might say was the third best specialist, even without including that worse weather conditions in there. He is coming in off that miscut. We can see that's just due to one bad round that he had mixed in there. Obviously don't love that, but other than that, had been playing great golf. I get why he's the highest priced player. You can get him at 15-1 odds. I'm kind of okay with that. From there, we got Mackenzie Hughes. Mackenzie Hughes, guys, we can see it here. Only 4 missed cuts on the whole season. He has one of the longest made cut streaks going on for any player in this event. 8 straight made cuts. The biggest concern with him is going to be the fact that he hasn't made a start at this tournament over the last 4 years. That being said, he is the 6th best specialist in the field and is in the 2nd best form. Overall, a top 20 stat fit as well. So really a good play, and I think he's going to be a good outright bet there as well. From there, we'll jump on into Ben Griffin. I think Ben Griffin, to me, is a player that I really like. You know, missed the cut, the Shriners. Don't exactly love that there from him, but for the most part, you know, pretty good golf out of him. He has played this tournament twice over the past 2 years with a 37th and 3rd place finish. He's going to be someone that is top 10 or better in all the key metrics that we look at. And so that's top 10 in course history rank, top 10 in stat fit, top 10 in recent form rank. Really just across the board, he is someone that I think that we should be looking at. And overall, he's ranking out as the 2nd best pick in the 905 model. So we're getting a little bit of value here. Let's take a peek at his outright odds. We can get him at 20-1 across the board. That is pretty darn good. And heck, if you want to bet him to top 10, you can get him at 2-1 odds. Feel pretty decent about those odds that we are getting on him. And one thing I want to call out here as I jump on into Justin Lauer is that players that play in this type of event, the Bermuda Championship, the Maricopa Championship, all those ones that are kind of on the coast there and kind of more of these, I don't want to say secondary events, but more secondary events, they all tend to play well, or play well at those same events. We see that a lot. Justin Lauer is firmly in that fold, the player that tends to play well at the same type of event. And I don't mind him at like 28-1 right now in points, but I think that's a pretty good line that we can get him at. Feel pretty comfortable with that. Great course history for him. 3 top 20 finishes here. He's going to be a top 25 stat fit, so not the best, but I wouldn't say there's anything concerning with that. The biggest concern with him is going to be his form, where it has been a little bit hit or miss. 2 top 10 finishes over his past 7 starts, but also 2 missed cuts mixed in there. Don't exactly love that there from him, but for the most part, he's going to be a great play for us. And so from there, guys, we're going to go ahead and jump on into the mid-tier here. The mid-tier is loaded with some pretty good quality plays. We see Andrew Novak is someone that's kind of popping up in there, coming in off of a good finish in his last event, finishing 16th there. 2 out of 3 made cuts at this event. That's good enough. I just don't feel the need to exactly go out of my way to target him. Jonathan Vegas is going to be a good stat fit again. Very much hit or miss. We know that. Do we want to chase the form from Nicholas Echeverria, where he has, 3 top 10 finishes over his past 4 starts? That's amazing. And we have seen he is a good bad weather player. I might jump on that a little bit here. Like, it's kind of crazy to me, but 75th at this event last year, so at least he has that course experience. Definitely interesting there. We got Mark Hubbard, who top 15 pick in the 9-5 model, top 40 or better in all the key metrics that we look at. 3 straight starts at this event, 2 top 25 finishes mixed in there. I'm kind of okay with that. Good enough stat fit, like fine. But really, to me, the class of the field in this pricing range is Jacob Bridgman. So as we can see, Bridgman has been playing some pretty darn good golf during this fall swing for one. The issue is that we haven't seen him for a little bit. That's a little bit of a concern, but he is going to be first in the field in birdie or better percentage, and he's 3rd in the field in strokes gained putting. Love that there from him. Also ranks out 32nd in strokes gained approach, so pretty good there. We see his 1 recent miscut comes down to 1 bad round, 79 there. Other than that, I mean, that's kind of clearly an outlier, and that has been the case in some of his miscuts, the Bermuda Championship, for instance, but that's so long ago. I do like the pricing on him. I do think he's kind of a good upside GPP potential outright bet for us this week, and kind of looking at his outright lines as well. I don't mind them coming in at 45-1. That's kind of the norm, though. They're kind of bunching up all these really good outright bets kind of together, and that's there for him. You can actually get him at 2-1 to top 20 on FanDuel and DraftKings. Not terrible odds there. And so from there, we start to get into some of my favorite plays this week, guys. So we got Alex Smalley, who has now made 3 straight cuts at this event, 30th, 11th, and 12th. Great stuff there. 4 straight make cuts now with the top 10 finish mixed in there. Stat fit is the one concern with him. That's the one concern. But other than that, pretty good across the board. Top 15 pick in the 9-5 mile. He does feel a lot like kind of Austin Eckroat as a play where, you know, kind of coming in, checking all the boxes, if you will. Not the best stat fit. That's the one concern with him. But he is a good play just in general, where the form is good enough. 3 straight make cuts at least. 3 straight make cuts at this tournament. Wish he was a top 30 stat fit. But at least if we look at like his strokes gained total stats, at least recently, those are getting a little bit better. And so that's, I guess, slightly encouraging. You know, I wish it was a little bit better, but overall, I'm kind of okay with it. Given the field, like at that price, I'm happy to get to him. We also have Rico Hoy as well, who he has just been making a ton of cuts in a row, 12 straight made cuts in a row now. Doesn't have course experience here, but he is someone that can score 6th in the field in birdie or better percentage, top 5 in par 5 scoring, so he is able to take advantage of those par 5s. Outright wise, we can get him at 45 to 1. You can actually get him at 2 to 1 to top 20 as well. Feel pretty good about those odds that we are getting there. He did fall off last week, which was a little bit annoying, but still good enough play for him across the board, and just at a very soft price tag to the point where I do want to be ending up on him a decent amount. From there, let's talk about Grayson Sigg. Grayson Sigg is also someone that, you know, pretty good stuff across the board for him. 3 out of 4 made cuts in a row now, with 2 of those being top 10 finishes. We also see that he is 2 for 2 in made cuts at this event. Again, kind of the concern is a little bit of his stat fit. That's why we are getting him this cheap. But really, I think a fair and balanced approach is kind of looking good for us this week. Another player that's kind of popping up to me is going to be Vincent Whaley, where he has made 4 straight cuts in a row. And he has also finished top 10 at this event in the past. Relatively good across the board in terms of like all the key stats that we're looking at. Not great, but not terrible. I think he's a player that I'm gonna be fine ending up on. Let's go ahead and jump on into that value tier, guys. So trying to find the top 4 plays that are sub 7K is a little bit more difficult to do this week. Like Scott Pierce, who was a value play that I didn't mind, but he's right at 7K. Snedeker had been playing some good golf. He's had some time off, so I don't know if we need to go in on him. Peter Malnati is someone that typically plays well at these type of events, so maybe there's something there. I don't need to go crazy with it. Tom Whitney, you know, he seems to be popping up better recently, but I don't like it. Ryan McCormick, you know, 24th and 15th place finish. So to me, guys, looking at the values that we have this week, it's not a good week for values. Like Tyson Alexander is okay. That's another reason why I really think the fair and balanced approach is going to be one of the better approaches to go with. And you guys will see that now once I get into my core plays. So let's go ahead and touch on those core plays. And so looking at the core plays here, guys, the first one that I want to get into is going to be, can you guess it? I'm interested. Rico Hoy. So Rico Hoy has been kind of one of my favorite plays for a long time now. He's just been continuing to play well. Again, we saw that make cut streak going, and his price really hasn't risen that much. And so we can get him at 7.9 on DraftKings for our DFS builds, and 45 to 1 as well for a guy that's ranking out in some of the best form in the field. To me, that is pretty crazy. That is something that we should be targeting. Top 5 in recent form, top 13 stat fit, 8th best specialist in the field, overall ranking out as a top 10 player in the 9-5 model, and overall ranking out 13th best as a whole once you start to include some of those outright data points as well. The next core play is going to be Alex Smalley. So I kind of mentioned that I like those two kind of paired together there at that good pricing range. The nice thing about Alex Smalley is that he does have course experience. 30th, 11th, and 12th here at this event. Love that there from him. He does rank out top 25 in birdie or better percentage. He is 31st in stroke gained approach, so not terrible, but not great. He also ranks out top 40 in par 5 scoring, so he should be able to do well here. We can get him at 45 to 1 on BetMGM and FanDuel, which is nice. Again, not the best stat fit in the field. Could be a little bit better. I do think he has a good chance to top 30. Don't mind him as an outright bet, though, as well. Let's go ahead and get into my third core play, and this is more due to pricing. So Lanto Griffin. This is probably going to shock some people there, but I think Lanto Griffin just kind of fits the mold of the play that I liked with him last week, where he's low enough price play to the point where we can play him not with a lot of confidence, but he does open up a lot when we include him into our builds. He finished 53rd at this event last year. He's not a terrible stat fit. You know, he's top 30 stat fit, guys. I like that. Okay. He ranks out Top 25 in par 5 scoring, strokes gained approach, and birdie or better percentage. Not the best putter, ranks 50th in the field, but that's well within like the range that I kind of like it, especially at this price tag. Form hasn't been great, but he still made 7 straight cuts in a row. Like, obviously we would want better finishes out of him, but he is someone at a low price tag that we should be able to get a made cut out of. I haven't seen that many lines for him made cut wise. You can get him at like 0.44 to 1 to make the cut. Odds wise, that's not terrible. I don't hate that. If you want to bet him to outright, maybe everything comes together for him. 110 to 1 on FanDuel. Not terrible there. And getting into the final core play here, Vince Whaley. Yeah, it's kind of ugly, but I kind of am okay with it. So he does have that course experience that we want. So I like that there from him. Again, not the best stat fit. Don't love that. Recent form has been a little bit spotty, but not terrible. He has shown some upside. And so when we include those plays, guys, we are able to then pay up really for whoever we want. So Ben Griffin is a play that I do really like a decent amount. And I could go back to Doug Gim as a play. Like, that is a very solid build for us right there. We have about $200 left over. I think that's a pretty good first look build, but enough of kind of my thoughts. Let's go ahead and see what the data is telling us to do. And so as always with the 9 to 5 lineup builder, we do have to give it 2 data points to go off of. I'm actually going to go up pretty high with Seamus Power. I wanted to tell it that I want to be on him a little bit here, so 127, whatever. Mackenzie Hughes will bump up to 120, and Maverick McNeely, I'm kind of okay with that, but just giving it 2 data points to go off of to see kind of what the data is telling us is going to be more of the optimal lineup approach. And so here we go, guys. It likes Ben Griffin, Justin Lauer, Jacob Bridgman, Alex Smalley, Rico Hoy, and Sun Yul No. That's interesting. I think I'd rather go Lanto, but that's interesting. We are seeing a little bit of a different lineup approach after that. I think Kevin Yu is going to be a good GPP type play. I'm kind of fine with that. Andrew Novak at lights, but the thing I'm noticing here is it is spreading out things here a decent amount. It's actually getting to Wesley Bryan at 7.5. Again, I kind of think he could be a sneaky decent play, maybe potential outright bet. So that's interesting to see there, but it is kind of naturally just spreading out our exposures, and I didn't cap any of the exposures. And so it is getting to 100% Bridgman and Rico Hoy, but then from there, guys, it really is trying to spread it out. And that's with not doing anything settings wise. So interesting there. Now, guys, that's going to do it for this video. I do appreciate you guys being here. If you can give a like to the video, that does help out a lot. If you guys have never subscribed to the channel, make sure to do that as well. It's just an easy way to help out the channel. If you guys want access to any of the tools that you saw in this video, head on over to 9to5sports.com. Get access to those for just $10 a month. All right, guys, that's going to be all. Thank you guys for watching. Good luck with your bets and with your builds. And as always, let's keep cashing.